ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
How are you picking your next person when it comes to thinking about Jocelyn? And like, would you invite Jocelyn to meeting this person?
Uh,
And your co-parent.
yeah. So my new method now, I'm not even playing games anymore. Like
Okay.
I
Y'all heard it.
I believe all red flags as soon as you show me now. Like
Oh
as
yeah.
soon as
Immediately.
immediately. Oh, that's who you are. Yep.
Yeah.
No, 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 nah, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, have a good
Dang,
time.
that was quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's quick. No, because if you're willing to like exhibit, I'm not even talking about like how you say like this is like things I need to work on. Right, I'm impatient. I'm talking about like you just do it like, and it's very destructive or it's very
Right.
it could be problematic.
Right.
I'm very sensitive to it now. Like you can say that I'm jilted, scarred. So I just accept what the red flag that you show me,
Right.
and I can't deal. Like I'm not looking for a perfect woman
Mm-hmm.
because there's no such thing, right?
Yes,
But
there is.
okay, whatever.
You're looking at her.
Okay,
Just kidding.
sure. Uh, but my method now is being very, very intentional of the life I want to have when I'm 50 and 60.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does this woman have the capability, the mindset, the heart that I want to be around when I'm 60?
Right.
See, so that's kind of like how I'm looking at it now. Introducing her to my daughter, and it's unique because my daughter's on my social media heavy. Like everything I do for my books, she's involved. But you're not gonna meet her like probably 3 months after you and I have been like kicking it hard. You know what I'm saying? Because of previous experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be the same way too with us having to sit down with my co-parent like
Right.
3 months.
Right.
Because if we're gonna be together for like you're talking about marriage, so you're talking about a life.
What's the rush?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
You know.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So you're saying like 3 months. I just want to clarify. 3 months after you've been dating, you, as long as it's lining up, it's making sense, which is a personal, like a personal subjective thing, right? Then you will, and you might introduce them.
I might.
Are you gonna invite them to meet Jocelyn first or your child's mother? Like, what's the order you thinking?
That's a good one, and I haven't figured that out. I think it'll be Josh first.
Okay.
It'll be Josh due to the fact, like me and my daughter have a great relationship, and I told her like, hey, if you ain't vibing with somebody, just let me know.
And how she's 12?
She's 13.
She's 13. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I told her that from day one, like, hey, because hearing all the stories about women, young girls being put in uncomfortable situations, being forced to be around family members that they don't like or friends they don't like. I was like, listen, kid, if you ain't fucking, excuse me, if you ain't,
keeping it real.
Sorry, if you ain't vibing with nobody,
Right.
you ain't gotta be around nobody.
Right.
And she has done a great job of telling me, like, Dad, I'm uncomfortable here. And, all right, let's go.
Okay.
I'm not playing that game. So if I introduce the woman around my kid and my daughter is like, I'm kind of uncomfortable. All right, well.
Has that happened in the past, like with your ex?
What do you mean?
Like, was she like, I'm not feeling this person?
There's been a couple. There's been a couple. And it wasn't like she met them. She met them. It was just like we were driving in my car, and then they would call me to try to like see like, hey, are you still able to meet up? And I'm answering my Bluetooth, right? And my daughter would be like, Dad, the way she talks, I don't like.
Okay, she's 12. Does she know how to evaluate how
Yeah,
someone talks?
actually she does because she was correct.
What did he talk to? What was she correct about?
It's about like the energy.
Oh, okay.
It's like how she would speak, like
Okay.
very. She sounds like demanding or controlling or anxious or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, because you could tell the energy of people how they talk, like what they present. So that's what I meant.
I was like, I'm almost wondering too, like, is that? I mean, it's each relationship is different, but I'm wondering is for some people out there, it might not be appropriate for them to entirely. Like, yes, you want your kid's perspective, but like, you also don't know what's driving their perspective. They're so little, they don't even know necessarily.
Right.
Like, I really want my parents to get back together. Like, of course, I don't want to fuck with this other person. So for the folks out there, you have to decide for yourself if you feel like your kid has that maturity and desire for being able to speak up on that stuff. But yeah, safety is key for sure. And so that's why I tell my mom, she's one of the people I vet people through, as well as background checks. I do all the things,
Do you think vetting is a lost art? Not to cut you off, but do you think vetting is a lost art in dating?
I did a background check on someone and it showed me just recently that they're a pathological liar, like about a lot of things. And so I vet. It's not a lot of start on me. Like I do that, and I would say, I think what I need to do a better job is sometimes I vet and my vetting system's too nice. Like they're like, and they have low expectations of men because of their own relationships. Sometimes they're like, oh, they're probably doing the best they can, or why you're expecting too much. The ability to apologize when they do something wrong. They're like, can we just get you off and married so we can move on? Right. Anyways, but so I might need to vet my vetting process. But I'll set to say no. I mean, hopefully it's not a lost art. Do you have a vetting process?
I do. Like, yeah, that's my vetting process.
It's
but
Jocelyn.
Also, no, not Jocelyn. Oh, okay. It's I have my friends too. Like I would, if I'm dating, if the woman and I are dating for a couple of weeks, then I'll take her to one of my spots that I go to that I know my people are going to be at, and then they do nonverbal cues to let me know what they're saying.
Like what? Go ahead and do one. You gotta do one.
You know that look.
What?
You know that look. You know the look I'm talking about. Like, oh, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that look because I always get the like.
Right.
That's the look they be giving for me. I be looking good for people. I be looking great. No, but what was I gonna say? That's a good point, and that's important. Like, if people need to have their vetting process, because we've heard so many stories of like sexual assault from a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever towards the kid, and so I think it's very important that, especially if your heart's been hurt and you haven't been doing the work on like improving your discernment, you might have broken up with the child's father or child's mother because of some unhealthy relationship, right? Some narcissism, some like all the things, codependency and stuff. So if you haven't actually worked on that, you probably don't belong in the dating scene right now, and especially when it comes to bringing your kid around.
You got to vet yourself.
Do the internal vetting. Am I ready? And that's the one thing I would love to write about at some point is like, are you ready to be in the dating scene? Now, I don't think you got to be like, I'm so grounded, I know everything. Like, it's just, first of all, the dating scene is harsh.
Trash.
It's trash. You got to come out there confident and know what your boundaries are, because from my experience, men love to push the boundaries. And so, like, you got to know what they are.
Women like to push the boundaries. Yeah.
Right. Of course. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No. That's fair. And so, but yeah, you got to know your boundaries. You got to know yourself. Are you ready? And so I've been learning about myself. Like, I attract narcissists, like covert narcissists. I'm like, I'm getting really nervous. I'm like, should I? I need to strengthen my vetting process. And a lot of it's been like, I need to just slow down and just do some work on myself and just like actually just take a break. Like, this point in my life, I need to not. And so I have capacity for like very small things, but I don't have capacity for like starting a relationship. And so I'm not even on the dating apps. Like, I might have one conversation going, but I'm not even in the like pool of people, the queue. But I know that I'm taking self-inventory because I've been attracting people who love bomb, which is a characteristic of narcissists. What is that? Love bombing is when you like early on just show way too much admiration for someone. Oh yeah,
that's creepy.
It is, and like, and it's scary because I'm like, I don't want to become that bitter person. Like, oh, that was one too many compliments. Like, I have gotten to the point where I'm like talking to someone and I was like, hey, you need to like I need like no more than 2 compliments a day. Like you're getting over the quota. Like, so we kind of joke about it. Like, you've extended the you're going over the quota.
You ain't trying to get gassed up.
I'm not trying to gas up because also again I'm a very nurturing, trusting, loving person, and so I have to be very intentional about how I go out into the scene because I don't want to bring someone into my world and then they be in Dior's world, my son, and like then we got problems, right? And I got to be really intentional. And so I'm just taking space. I'm working with therapists, like just to make sure like I'm all good. How can I discern without being so bitter? Like, I gotta, like, I'm gonna assume you're lying until you're telling the truth. Like, I don't want to be that. It's getting there though. It's getting there.
Guilty till proven innocent. Yeah.
And so I still have to say, like, I'm not in a place. So I have the maturity and the self-awareness through going through some stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready to be on the scene. But when I am ready, it's going to be a good thing. Yeah, it's going to be a great thing.
And one of the things we will always promote on this show is therapy. Get you.
We're going to.
Oh, you got to do it again. Right? 1, 2, 3. Therapy.
Yeah, if you're in therapy, you get 2 claps.
Right. Get you some therapy because we all need that internal work to figure out.
All of us.
Yeah, to make our lives better and happier. So,
right. And make other people's lives better. Everyone is impacted by our fuckery.
Yeah.
By our flaws. right? I'm sure everyone listening has someone in their life. You're like, God, I wish they would get some therapy.
Get some goddamn
Get some.
therapy. Get you a Groupon.
Get you. They got therapy on Groupon.
Yeah, you can,
Oh
yeah,
Lord.
you can do that for $15.
$15. No excuse.
No excuse. Virtual therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it's more accessible than ever before.
it is.
But
I love it. But
but I still have this question, Jeffrey. Like,
what's that?
What do I do? Because if I'm dating a man who's not a father already, I need to.
This cat is scratching me.
Oh, it's a love tap. I'm so sorry.
That's so good.
Go.
It was the slow claw. It was like, I was like, jeez. I just talk about therapy. But go ahead. My bad.
Yes, you need that.
Therapy.
So I am still trying to figure out like what is realistic. And I don't even care about realistic. I just want what I want, right? But like,
okay.
Because realistic is usually like sabotage getting in your head about that's not possible. That's not.
Right.
It's like negative voices that aren't going to really serve you sometimes.
I get you.
But yeah, I'm just like, when I go back into the dating scene, let's say I'm dating someone who's not a father currently, like, what do you think my process should be? And like, obviously I'm going to tell them early on, Dior is a priority of mine. Like, my happiness is a priority too. It's not like I'm deading myself for anybody, but like, not just anybody, right? But like,
right.
But yeah, so everybody's got to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And I got this great co-parenting relationship going, like, all that jazz. Once it gets serious, like, let's say we've been talking for like 4 months, and my timeline can be different because if I'm talking to you, we're getting deep quick.
Right.
Because I get bored if it's surface and it's just like, how was your day? WYD. What are you doing? Like, if it's that stuff, if it's the same question, one word responses, it's not going to go anywhere. But for the people who know how to have a real conversation, get deep, like, we're covering stuff very early on. I'm not playing, right? And it's just fun for me. And so let's say 3 months. I think 3 months could be a good time for me to be like, maybe there's something here. Like, when do I be like, yo, but like, did you actually want to be a stepdad? Like, what are your thoughts? I don't need it, but like.
So you don't just directly ask you want to be a stepdad.
Okay,
like,
what's up?
Like, so.
I like to get to the point.
No. It's just because they're going to be a father too. Because unless he says I don't want children of my own,
right? He's
probably going to want children with you if you guys end up in a long-term relationship. So.
And I already have a child.
You already have a child, but that's the thing I believe majority of women don't understand about most men. They will want children of their own because of this legacy.
Oh yeah,
legacy.
Most of them. Some might not want, but most.
Some might. Yeah, they'll verbalize that too. But a lot of men, especially men that get older, they're more legacy minded. So if he gets with you, he would want a child of his own from you. So the best thing you can do is have those conversations if you want to take it past that whole initial dating thing, like, and it's just pretty much naming your price of what the kind of partner you want to have when you're 50 or 60. I think we got to start thinking about. I mean, everything's fun right now, but how do you want your life to be when you're 50 and 60? And does this person have?
I haven't thought about that.
Right, you got.
I might be cute though.
Hey, drink water, fruit, eat fruit, and work out. So, but you got to, like you said, you got to think about does this person have the capacity to develop into a person that I want to be around when I'm 50 or 60 years old. You're talking about for life.
And honestly, I'll be honest, I don't want them to have to do so much developing. Yeah. I know we're all going to be growing. I have capacity for someone to not be perfect, but like I will say, like, I need to see certain things now, or like at least a real true effort in building it. Some things I need to see immediately. Some things I'm like, okay, fine, you can work towards that.
Right,
but you gotta like actually be working on that. You have to be. It can't be because I said so.
No. It's like motivate yourself.
Because I've tried that where you're like, do it for me, and they're like, yeah, and then they don't.
You try to build a man.
2.
You try to build 2 men. Okay.
But yeah, it's
hard
for
another day.
Or not in front of camera. But anyway, what else? Okay, what about your co-parent? Like, so how are you engaging Nikki? Like, how are you bringing her into these conversations? What do you guys set up? What is her rules?
So we're very cordial, but we don't have the level of conversations that you and your co-parent do, due to the circumstances of us becoming parents in the first place.
Which was?
We had a child young, and also we weren't together
Okay.
when she when she became pregnant. Or we
Yeah,
became pregnant.
we
I'm
became
working
pregnant.
on it. Well, we became pregnant.
I watched it. I loved it.
Right. I was working. Had a glitch. Like so it's been maturation. It's been, self-actualization. She's done her work. I've done my work.
Awesome.
She's in a relationship right now.
Okay.
The dude she's with, is okay. You know what I'm saying?
What's okay?
I mean, I don't know him
Okay.
like that well, but he seems to be okay.
Have you met him?
I met him. Yeah, I met him before.
What are your expectations of him?
I don't have any.
As someone interacting with your daughter.
No, that's all my expectations to make sure that they're safe.
Right.
That's what I mean. Okay, maybe I should have vocalized that. My expectation is to keep them safe and sound, but I don't have any expectations on their relationship because that's not my relationship. I just want to make sure that my daughter is safe
Right.
and that her mom is safe. That's all I care about.
Right.
So yeah, that's my expectation. That's
Okay.
it.
Would you ever have more, or you just know it's not your place?
It's not my place.
Okay.
Because that's kind of like I don't know what I'm gonna say.
But do you have a wish?
A wish for what? The expectations? No.
You see what I'm trying? Because I say this because
Yeah.
I do.
I know, 'cause
My
it's
wish
different.
is for that my ex's girlfriend,
Yeah.
and wife one day, right?
Yeah.
I would hope that it's healthy, right? Safe.
Yeah.
Because safe is healthy and safe, like not just physically, but like psychologically, right?
That's what I mean, like safe,
Yeah,
mentally,
like holistically.
physically.
But I would like for them to
holistically.
have a good relationship. Like I think that's something people have to think about, like, because if you don't, you might not, if you don't speak it out and like, because like I feel like people assume that baby moms don't want stepmoms have good relationships with their kids because they get jealous, like, oh, they might love you, or whatever, like, and like, and for me, if I think being intentional, like, well, what would I want for them, like in their relationship? I'm like, oh, okay, I hope that like she is very thoughtful of him, or like is loving, and like is also intentional about him, which is something I would want from my partner to be. So I'm wanting the same things, right? From everyone to be intentional and like take a few steps to make sure that they're good. And my ex's girlfriend goes above and beyond what I think most people would expect from someone in her role. And so so she set the bar really high.
Yeah.
So I've joked to him, I was like, don't fuck this up.
Right.
I was like, don't mess this up.
No, based on
I like her.
Right. No, based on what I observe, he is doing a good job, doing a great job with the situation because he walked in. I'm not gonna say his name.
Oh, your person.
Yeah,
sorry, I thought you were talking about Mikey. I was pronoun abuse. I didn't know he was talking about my ex or your. Okay.
No, my bad. No,
okay.
Who's he? It's like,
you're like, whoa, confidentiality.
Right.
Good call. Uh-huh.
No. He's done a great job. A lot of great, things I've heard. What's going on? So it's going really well. And honestly, I like the fact that my co-parent is happy.
Yeah.
Or like she's happy. So
Why?
Because, if she's happy, my kid's happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If my kid's happy, I'm happy.
Let's just talk about that because I think people don't think about that. Like, I see co-parents who are creating all this stress for the other co-parent.
Yeah.
And you gotta say, why? What is it necessary? Is the heat that you're bringing to that household with your co-parents household, is that necessary? Like, is it because, where is it coming from? Where is it stemming from? And also, what are the outcomes you want from this? Because one, there's times you need to set boundaries or have hard conversations and stuff, but like, if your person isn't happy, they're not going to be able to parent well. As much as we think, well, who cares if you're happy? You need to be able to do a good job. It's like, no, we have to take care of each other. We have to make sure everyone is good. There's boundaries to that. Like, I can't completely hold my person, but hold my ex. Like, he's got to do stuff to take care of himself. Like, he's got a home life and stuff like that. But also, like, I also think great co-parenting means putting the kid first, right? Putting the kid first, putting the dynamic, being intentional about the dynamic with the co-parent, right? What is that team dynamic? And then also, like, their well-being is important too.
Right.
And so, because like you said, if your child's mother's good, then the kid's gonna be good. And also, like, it's just it's okay to want the child's mother to be good.
Right. No, honestly, and I genuinely do. And everybody's different. And I think when people sleep together, they don't sleep together to have a kid. They sleep together for the pleasure.
Depends on the person.
Depends on the person, but I'm thinking about, like, if you think about majority of people when they have a kid is very, very young. It's like 19, 20, 21.
Really? I haven't seen them. I haven't seen the number. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So they're not having sex to create a family. They're having sex to get pleasure.
Right.
And also, most of the time now, people are not even together when they have kids. People were just messing around, and then they weren't responsible in their decision making to not to do it without using contraception. And then now you got this bitterment built up because now I'm tied to somebody that I really don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the child is here already, the child is 4 or 5. You got this war that happens. Like, oh, this is my child. You can see your kid. Let me see my son, right? But these people are not. Let me say these people. But majority is like the conversation is never had of make sure you have children with somebody that you want to have a family with.
Right.
The responsible thing, so that way you can avoid stressful situations.
Right.
You know, because if you notice people who go with the intention of, okay, we're going to raise a family, the percentage of stress is a lot less versus this a person get together, we just fucking around a little bit and like, oh shit, we're pregnant. Now I got to deal with you now.
I mean, yes, and whoever you are when you decide to have that kid, you might be different. Let's say you decide to have that kid. I mean, a lot of the people that are listening to us might be married.
Right.
And they might have been like, let's do the thing that people do when they get married, have kids, right? And they still split up. And so even so there's the people who didn't mean to like spend the rest of their life with each other, and there's people who meant to spend their life with each other. And now they don't spend the rest of their life with each other. But they want to spend the rest of their life with whoever they thought that person was in that moment. And they might have very much been that person at the moment. But
some people are treating children like a power tool, though.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have the child, so I can control your emotions and mind and schedule.
I don't got time for that. I don't got time for
petty
that
as hell.
kind of manipulation.
Right,
and
it's hella
like,
manipulative.
Let me just work on myself.
Right. But and I hope our conversations show somebody that that's not the right way to do things. Right. Like it could be a lot easier just having a conversation.
See, some people are more fearful of conversations, but So when we talk about like, I want to get back to like this whole like being in the dating scene because one of the things that I actually we went on IG Live about with someone in my community is around me being a Black woman going out into the dating scene. Like it's kind of funny because if I want to be petty, I could be like, oh, my ex made me a single Black mom, right? But no, it's not like that. I
okay, all right.
You put me in this category, man. Like, what the hell? Now I got to deal with it, right? But yes, I'm a single Black mom in the dating scene. And I'll be honest, I'm not used to people thinking fondly. Like, I feel like I'm on the... There's a real challenge. There's a real challenge there. I think societally that people have a lot of negative judgments around what being a single woman is, and as well as being a single Black mother. There's so many more negative images of single Black mothers out there than, especially the stories we hear. You know, you got Tupac's mom, you got all these different moms who seem like they're down and out and like they're struggling, and it's like their lives are very hard. And don't get me wrong, that's a reality, and loving those mothers through and through, and that doesn't fit who I am.
Okay.
Like that was one of the reasons why I didn't put that I was dating, or that I had a child when I was on the apps, because people assume when you're a single mom that you don't have time or that you have a horrible co-parenting relationship, and that's not my reality. So part of the reason why I do want to like share more stories is because everyone has different realities, and there's more to be told around what's out there. But I do feel like it's been challenging, and I wonder how other parents feel about that. So I'm gonna be asking about that.
Yeah, that could be like a question to ask the listeners.
We should
to chime in.
Absolutely.
Like, and what stigmas come with dating as a single parent of a culture, you know?
Yeah, and also and like
race and all that.
Also, like one of the things me and my ex talked about is, you know, people are like, oh, okay, single Black mom, drama, like maybe not very high up in status or whatever the things are and judgments that people have. And then you have, or like very promiscuous or whatever the thing, not good head on your shoulders, whatever the things are. And then you have
it's a funny word.
Then you have my ex who's like doing the opposite of what's expected of him as a black father. You know, stereotype is that they're not involved. They're out going to get more people pregnant, you know, and breaking more families and stuff like that.
Yeah, populate the earth.
Yeah, or something. And then making up for anyways. Let me stop. But he got kudos. Like, people love, like, oh, you're an involved father?
Right.
You take care of your kid like you're supposed to do.
Right.
Like, oh my God, that's so sexy. And it's like, what the hell?
Well, that's be like, think about that. The fact that he is, as a black father, we get championed for doing what we're supposed to do. That's the stigma, meaning that the expectation is that we're not going to be there.
So it's insulting.
It's insulting. It's an insult. It's a backhanded compliment.
But you still get play, though.
What's this play?
That's my point. I'm just saying, like,
think about it.
Yeah, that sucks and all, but like,
we can play.
It's not impacting your dating life, is it?
It does.
Okay,
especially if you're what your intentions are. Like, if I'm out here just trying to free, you know, slicking and dicking it, then of course there's free willy in it. But but if I'm looking for
Jesus. I haven't even heard that before. We'll definitely have to cut that out.
Yeah, my bad. So free willy in it. So then that, okay, great, right? Mm-hmm. But if I'm looking for something real, then and also it depending on my co-parent situation, I don't have time to do that either, because I have to do things to provide for my daughter and, you know, stuff like that too. So it comes, there's different stigmas and different stereotypes, right, that we all have to deal with. And we don't even know, you know, the stereotypes with, like, Asian moms, Asian fathers, you know, Native American.
Right.
You're right. So,
and we shouldn't concern ourselves with stereotypes. However,
but it's hard because it's in your face, and it's in our media, it's in our art, it's in our music.
Right.
Yeah, it's my baby mama. Yeah, I'm on child support. 3 6 Mafia. You ever 3 6 Mafia?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have heard of them. I just don't remember that song. Oh, Lord. Okay. Anyways,
you ain't from the hood. You ain't from the streets.
No, I'm not. I'm not from the streets. That's the point I'm trying to say.
You ain't down. You ain't real. It's like, no,
I'm as real as it comes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're all right.
Even the way I said that didn't sound that real. I'm as real as it comes.
Yeah. So I have a final question for you. Mm-hmm. What would your advice be for the single mother that is looking for love?
I would say that's a great question. Do not lower your standards. Do really evaluate and think about all of your worth, because you being a mother, you being a black mother, is a gift. And I've had men say that they actually wanted to date me because I'm a mother, because it means I can think about someone other than myself. I'm not young and selfish and things like that, right? And now I'll say all mothers come in all shapes and sizes. No mother is one way, right? But I happen to not be very selfish, and I happen to be very thoughtful, right? And I have and then you see the life I've created for my son. Like, oh my God, you already know how to do this. So when we have more kids, which I would like to have more kids. Anyways, but like when we have, throwing that out there. But when we have more kids, you already know what you're doing, right? And if, God forbid, we get married and we get divorced, we're gonna get along. Okay. Like, you got to think about the long term, right? When you're in these things. But I would say, don't lower your standards, because it's actually a gift. Reframe how you're thinking about things that aren't serving you, as well as take your time and expand your reach, because if you in Seattle, the numbers aren't great.
Nationwide, the numbers aren't great.
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. There's a lot of other people that aren't black. So if you're into that, you're going to be good. But if you're looking for certain qualities and traits, right? Like, Seattle has a certain progressiveness that I want to find in my person. And so there's that. But yeah, my advice would be, like, don't lower your expectations at all. Don't be like, oh, because I'm this, I gotta like lower. Like, I would say not lower them, right? Also recognize that people are human and like no one's perfect, right? So that finding that right balance, and bring people along. Sometimes they won't get it, but they have all the heart. As long as they have the heart, they got heart, right? They got heart. And you trust yourself, and you're ready to be out there, and you really are intentional about who you're putting in front of your child. Do you, like you had a great point the other day when you said, I'm picking people who I would not be mad if my child turned out exactly.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
that's the pinnacle for me. Like
Right, and I was dating someone who I was like, I would not want my son to be certain parts that were showing up really strongly in that person that I was dating, and I was like, this ain't. My son takes more accountability as a 7-year-old and has more self-awareness and empathy than the person I was dating, and that's a problem.
So that'll be my advice. Like, whoever you choose to be with, you have to look at it like this. If my child grows up and becomes that person, I would not be upset by it.
Right.
That should be the thing.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. I know we were saying last question. Another last question. Like, this is, I might need to ask someone who's not a father, right? But like, you're a father, so okay. But I still want to ask you, right? As you're dating women who have children, is there a time where you feel like it'd be okay or not okay for them to be like, so what's good? Like, if we're serious, like, you're going to be a stepfather to my child, like, what would you want that to pan out to be?
Oh, you mean like serious about what, like being with them or being like meeting their kid? Like, what do you
all
mean?
of the above. If you're serious about, that's the thing I need people to understand. If you're serious about me, you are serious about that. Those aren't separate. So if you're
But
serious
here's the thing, though, to some people it is separate because I have to know the foundation first before I meet the attachments.
It's not about meeting though. Like, you can't, if you look at me separately and you haven't done the work to decide whether you want to be a stepdad, it's just not going to work. Because the moment you fall in love and realize how amazing I am, and you haven't done that work, you have to look at me holistically. I'm not just a lover and a wife, right? I am a mother, and that's all in one. So I need people to think about it more holistically. I guess. And I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just like.
And everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to get to know you first to trust you in that journey of being a father to your child. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I got to get to know, like, who are you first?
But,
you know
like,
what I'm saying?
is that void of you actually asking the question of, like, do I want to be a stepfather?
No.
I know that someone got a fucking kid.
No, I know with me, if I date a woman who has a child, that question automatically comes up. Like, okay, am I, all right.
So it does come up. Maybe it's not a direct conversation.
Right, no, it's in my mind. Because, of course, I mean, it's expected. If we're going to be together, then, of course, I'm going to have an involvement I'm going to be involved with this kid in some kind of capacity.
And how early do you think about that?
To me, like, I don't think about that until, like, a month.
Okay.
Because I'm still getting the whole get to know you phase.
Right.
Yeah, so it's when we have that conversation of togetherness and, like, relationships. It's like, okay, let me consider my options here.
Right. And I'll say, like, again, I'm not forcing anything. I think it's strange when people are like, oh, but now you got a kid. Like, I don't know, like, I've been had a kid the whole time, right? And so I think it's just really interesting. It should be interesting to navigate. I think I have I don't think a lot of people know the answer to this question too. I think it's gonna be different for everybody, obviously.
It
is.
And also, it's a question that you don't get asked every day when you.
Right. You want to be a stepdad?
You want to be a stepdad? You want to be a stepmom to my child? Like, I'm trying to pay my bills right now.
Right.
So that's why we have to develop that trust between you and I first, so that way I can feel comfortable thinking about that.
I hear you. I just feel like men get a lot out of women, and then when it's time to be responsible, that's how I kind of see it too.
Here we go.
No, I do, but I feel like men, like I'm saying, I'm great. People love to hang out with me, right? I'm a lot of fun. Okay. But like, if I need to know early on, am I just a fun thing for you, or are you actually like?
But that's
serious?
The conversation you had from jump.
From jump, I know, but men will say whatever they need to say to get in your pants.
Exactly. So if you know that, then your vetting system, you gotta update your software in your vetting system. You gotta know the bull jive from the.
And what's the update I should make?
Talk to your homeboys.
Yeah.
Just like they say, you get your game from your woman, like, get your name from a woman and all that stuff. Tupac said that. Keep your head up. It's a great song. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Talk to your homeboys, and not the homeboys that you're. And I'm not. Make sure I say this. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just talking about advice for women. Talk to your homeboys that you have not slept with. Yeah.
I would say that I have a number of those.
Yeah, no. So. That's why I made the. I'm not talking about Sydney. I'm not saying that about Sydney.
Like, dang.
No, I'm not saying that about Sydney. No, I'm just saying in general. But yeah, talk to your homeboys and like, cause The thing I noticed with women get their advice about men from other women,
That's true.
and those women usually don't know what they're talking about.
And it's usually single.
And usually single women.
And even the married ones, you're like, I don't want that relationship.
No, because she's married, so her mindset's not there anymore. So ask men what such and such means. Like single men, just ask them what they mean, and they'll tell you. That's what I. Well, that's just me. So yeah,
right. That's real. Well, this is an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, we can have this conversation for hours and hours.
We can. But no, at the end of the day, like, what do you want people to know and take away from this?
It's a journey. Dating as a single parent. So make sure that you got all the equipment, you got all the amenities you need.
Right, and all the internal
stuff, yeah. So that way when you finally find your new partner, it will work.
Right.
Because love needs to exist.
It's out there. It's ready for you. And communication is super key. And I think having those conversations before you actually find your partner when you're co-parenting and getting aligned on the timeline and things like that. Although you don't have to agree on everything, but just talking about how you'd want them to be engaged with your child and yourself. When do you want to meet with that person before they start really becoming a step parent to your child?
Right.
I'm having those conversations early on before you actually meet them is super ideal.
Very important.
But yeah.
That's dope,
Good
man.
luck out there on that journey to you.
To you.
Me. All right.
That's dope, man.
All right.
It's another episode of Exes and Babies.
That's right.
Clutch.